All right. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to finish up chapter 2, and then we will start chapter 3. We should finish chapter 3 today as well. Roll. All right, so we're just going to finish up the last few slides of chapter 2. Remember, I posted a separate video demonstrating this slide because that is the last question for the chapter 2 quiz. So I did create a shorter video just walking through this specific question, and then that way you could use this to complete the question online with different numbers. All right, so in this regard, basically the last couple of slides, we are going to basically just take a moment to analyze the different budgets compared to the actual results, okay? So with chapter 2, there's 4 different parts. So the budget, the planning, the implementing, and then we analyze the results. That's the 3rd stage. The 4th stage is then we make corrective actions. We got to figure out what we're going to do to make sure that whatever happened doesn't happen again. Okay. Or if we did well, we want to make sure we're continuing to do that so we can continue to do well. Okay. So let's just take a look at this. When we look at assessing these results, we're going to first look at what our budgeted column is. Okay. Now, when we go line by line by line, what do you think that's called? What type of review is that if we go line by line? It's a line item review, right? So line item review means we're going to look at each one line item, line by line by line. Okay. So let's first look at our sales. We budgeted $1.3 million in sales, but our actual sales was 1.4 million. So what does that mean? Good or bad?
Good.
It means we made $100,000 more. See where our difference is? $100,000 more. Okay. Then what our variance is $100,000 of our actual budget. Hold on one second. Budget percent. Oh yeah. Okay. So remember, sales is always 100%. It's always the first 100% from the very top, right? Everything else kind of adds up to that 100%. So let's look at our. No, this is wrong. This is what happens when I try to go off script. And I try to do things in Excel really quickly. All right. Let's take a moment. The sales is wrong, but everything else should be correct. Okay. So our variance, our budget is $1.3 million. The variance is 100,000. Okay. So what is 100,000? All right, I'm in a case of the Mondays. If we take 100,000, there we go. That's what I'm going for. If we take 100,000 and we divide that $1.3 million. Okay, we're actually going to get 0.067. So our actual is basically 7% higher than what we initially planned. So it's a difference. Our variance is actually 7%. So in that case, it's really good. Okay, we went 7% higher than what we thought we were going to do.
Mhm.
Let's look at the food and beverage costs for a second. Okay, so first of all, our sales are up, right? Our sales are up. So we're going to put a little arrow next to that. Food and beverage cost. Our budget was 430,000. We spent 410,000. Okay. In accounting, oftentimes when you see parentheses, what does that mean?
So,
Negative.
It's a negative number, right? We don't put the negative sign, we put it in parentheses. Okay. And so our food and beverage cost is down $20,000. We saved $20,000. That means we spent less than we thought we were going to. Okay. So our gross operating profit, we were supposed to make 870,000, but we actually made 990,000.
Mm.
Okay. Do you see how we did that? So actually, our gross operating profit is $120,000. Originally, we were supposed to only have originally we budgeted to only have $870,000, but instead, in reality, because our sales were up by 100,000 and we saved 20,000 on our expenses, then our total gross operating profit is 120,000. Okay. This number right here, gross operating profit, is a good indication about basically how well we're controlling our food and beverage costs. Okay. Because everything else is going to be coming out of this sales number. But this gross operating profit, basically, we want to take that food and beverage out first. Because remember, that's our most controllable costs. Okay. And then we take out our labor cost. Okay. So we take out our labor cost of, in this case, we wanted to spend 425,000, but our labor, we actually spent 400,000. So is our labor up or down?
down.
It is down. Okay.
Mhm.
And so remember, prime cost is what? What is prime cost?
Our
Food, beverage, and labor. Okay. So if we look at our prime cost in this example, our prime cost was budgeted to be $855,000, but in reality, we only spent $810,000. So that means our prime cost is also down by $45,000. Okay. So is this a great situation or an okay situation or a bad situation?
Okay.
Great is thumbs up. Thumbs sideways is okay. Thumbs down is horrible. What do we think?
Mm.
Let's analyze this. Our sales are up and all of our expenses are down. That means it's a great example. Okay. This is our all-star. This is the people who have been able to control our labor, meaning we send people home when it gets slow, able to control our food costs. What are some ways we can control our food cost? Buying in bulk. Good. What else?
Check distributors.
Okay, we might do some price comparison with different contributors. Misael, what do you think?
I don't know what to think yet because I have a question that might be a dumb one, but I'm thinking, what is gross operating profit? Because that's the money, the profit, right? What is the difference between that and net? Is there a difference at all here with that?
Absolutely. Yes, that's not a dumb question. That's a very good question, actually. So gross operating profit, that line item allows us to identify how well we're controlling our food costs, right? So we have our sales up at the top, and the first line item is our food and beverage costs. So when we first subtract that cost out, that gross operating profit tells us how well we're basically managing our food and beverage costs. Okay. The net profit is at the bottom of the P&L, and that net profit, we're still going to keep subtracting our labor costs, We're gonna keep subtracting all of our other expenses like rent, all of our other expenses like insurance, depreciation, all that stuff that we're not gonna quite get into in this particular class. But the bottom line is going to be the net profit. So that gross operating profit, that $120,000 does not represent the actual profit we're gonna end up with. That just kind of gives us a quick snapshot look at whether or not we're controlling our food costs. Does that make sense?
Yes, it sure does.
Okay, perfect. All right, let's look at another example. All right, so let's look at our sales first. Our sales first, 1.332 million, and our actual is 1.332 million. Do we have any difference? No.
No.
So our sales is we met our budget, okay? Sometimes that's good. We just met our budget. Food and beverage. Talk to me about the food and beverage.
Bad.
Our budget was 400,000. We spent 450,000.
Hmm.
We spent $50,000 more than what we wanted to. Okay. Now, if we look, this $400,000 is 30% of our budget. So we were aiming for a 30% food cost. The actual was 33.8% food cost. So our food cost is up by 3.8%.
Mhm.
Okay. So now let's look at our labor cost. Our labor cost, did we have any change?
No.
Nope, we were right down to the penny. So we are good. No change. Okay. Let me open up. Ooh, that's not what I wanted to do. Open chat. Oh, I see you guys answering the chat. Thank you so much. Okay. So no change for the labor cost. So in reality, our prime cost, because we take labor and food and beverage, we're up by $50,000. Okay. Is this a good situation, an okay situation, or a bad situation? What do we think?
Okay. Bad.
This is a bad situation. Why is this a bad situation?
Because of the food costs at 30%.
Our food costs, that's one of our most controllable costs. So our sales were right there, right? Our sales were equal to what we budgeted, but we spent $50,000 more than we thought we were going to. What would be bless you, what would be a possible reason why we would spend $50,000 more on food and beverage? What's that? Inflation, absolutely, right? So what was that time when like the cost of tomatoes skyrocketed? That might be something that's unplanned that happens. Good. What else?
Create more waste.
What do you mean by creating more waste?
Cutting off more than you're supposed to, I guess.
Okay, so maybe when our prep cooks, if they are trimming vegetables, they're trimming meat, maybe they're cutting off more product, so we're getting less of it. Okay, which means we have to order more food. Okay, what else, Jeff?
I'm thinking like when you order meats, like briskets and things, and it cooks down, you lose all of that weight.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you haven't taken Mr. Yaminsky's cost control class and you only order the amount of meat that you need, you budget for that amount without realizing that you're going to shrink down, then you're going to have to order some more product in order to get the product that you need to actually serve. Good. What else?
Training, mistakes when orders are being taken, and then you have to maybe toss and remake.
Absolutely. So if our servers are maybe like, for example, when I first started working at TGI Fridays, I didn't eat a lot of steak. So I didn't understand the difference between the different steak temperatures and why it was important for somebody to ask what temperature you want your steak. And so I would often just, if I forgot to ask, rather than be embarrassed and go ask my table, my guests, what kind of how they want their steak cooked, I would just guess medium right in the middle. Okay. And then if somebody really likes no pink, they want it well done. Well, that's not going to be good enough. If somebody wants it less done, then a medium is too done. And so then I have to go back and remake that steak over and over again. So correcting those types of mistakes is really, really important. Okay. Also with prep, what if somebody's not using FIFO? So somebody makes chicken salad, okay? And then the next day they make chicken salad again and they just push the first one back to the back. And then after a while, it gets spoiled, we have to throw it out. Okay? That's wasted product. So there's lots of different ways that we can waste product. And as a manager, it's your responsibility to take that corrective action. To figure out, you kind of have to be a detective and figure out why is this happening and what can I do to fix it? And then implement those corrective actions. Okay? Questions, comments, concerns about that?
No.
No.
All right. So now let's jump into chapter 3. Yep, go ahead.
What are the two final steps of the budgeting process?
The final steps are analyze the results, take corrective action.